In 1541, during the time when the Inquisition burned every idea that challenged authority, a Benedictine monk secretly hid a manuscript inside his monastery. That manuscript would one day change how we see healing. It wasn't a normal medical book. It was something far more dangerous, the private confession of Paracelsus. For centuries, the pages stayed hidden. They didn't talk about herbs or bloodletting. They revealed something far more threatening to the powerful: how the human soul can heal without medicine. In 1891, a librarian uncovered the manuscript, but he died under strange circumstances just a week later. His last note, scribbled in the margins, warned, "This knowledge can free or destroy anyone who uses it without a pure heart. Prepare yourself, because you're about to awaken forces you don't fully understand." What follows are the most personal confessions of the last great alchemist of the West. Inside were 12 secrets Paracelsus used for healing, secrets history tried to erase. They describe methods that reach beyond time itself, restoring the soul's forgotten power. Each truth pulls you closer to a new way of seeing illness, pain, and healing. But beware. Once you step into this world, there's no going back. To realize that the soul heals without medicine is to realize that every illness carries a message, and every cure is an awakening. The pages whisper. The knowledge waits. Are you ready to hear what Paracelsus never dared to reveal in his lifetime? Chapter 1. The Mirror of the Soul. Illness is not punishment from above. It is the soul's desperate cry to be heard. This is the first secret that forever changed how I understood medicine. It was the winter of 1526 in Strasbourg. A woman came to me with her face covered in sores no ointment could heal. Other doctors declared her incurable, but when I looked into her eyes, I sensed a different truth. I observed her carefully, listened to her words, and felt the energy of her soul. I realized each sore appeared after episodes of deep anger toward her abusive husband. Her face reflected the wounds of her heart. That moment revealed the master key of healing. The body mirrors the soul. Through my studies, I learned we don't just have a physical body. We also have an emotional body, the bridge between our eternal soul and our mortal flesh. Every illness begins in that subtle body before showing up as physical symptoms. Fevers speak of passions out of control, ulcers of suppressed rage, tumors of grudges silently growing. The woman from Strasbourg proved this truth. I taught her not to see her sores as a curse, but as urgent letters from her soul asking to be freed. Each morning I asked her to place her hands on her heart and ask, "What inner pain is showing on my skin? What message is my illness bringing?" After a month of this practice, she began to see the connection between her emotions and her outbreaks. When she finally left her violent husband, something miraculous happened. Her skin healed completely within a week, without a single medicine. Now I share this first key with you. Your body is the mirror of your soul. Every symptom, every pain, every discomfort is a message from within. Don't curse your illness. Thank it as a teacher. Tomorrow morning before you rise, place your hands on your heart. Breathe deeply 3 times. Ask your body, "What do you want to teach me? What balance have I lost? What wound is showing through you?" Listen without judgment. Accept without resistance. The answer always comes to those who ask sincerely. This is the first step toward healing without medicine. But remember, once you begin to see your body as the sacred book where your soul writes its secrets, you can never go back to believing illness is just random. The next secret will reveal how to sense invisible wounds before they appear in the body. Prepare yourself. This knowledge will forever change how you understand pain. Chapter 2. The Invisible Wound. A wise healer can sense illness before the body even knows it's sick, because the soul always shows its signs first. Now that you know the first secret, my dear student, I must share something even deeper, the ability to detect wounds before they appear in the body. I first discovered this gift in Basel during the summer of 1527. A wealthy merchant, seemingly healthy, came to my clinic asking for a tonic to keep his strength for long journeys. But something about him unsettled me. Around his throat, I sensed a faint shadow, almost like an invisible hand was slowly choking him. His words felt strained, though he didn't notice it himself. In his eyes, I saw the dim light of a man hiding a secret that was eating him alive. So I asked him directly, "What truth can you not speak? What words are rotting in your throat?" He turned pale. Then he confessed. For years he had hidden the fact that he could neither read nor write, pretending in front of his business partners and even his own family out of shame. That constant lie had become a wound in his soul, one that was about to turn into a physical illness in his throat. Through my studies of Avicenna and my own observations, I realized this. The soul records every trauma, every lie, every repressed emotion as an invisible scar. These hidden scars disrupt the flow of life energy. If ignored, they eventually harden into real physical disease. The true art of medicine is to recognize these disturbances before they cause damage that can't be undone. That day, I taught the merchant a technique I now pass on to you. It was inspired by an ancient practice from the healing priests of Egypt. I call it the scrutiny of the soul, and it has the power to prevent years of suffering. The merchant practiced it faithfully for 3 months. Not only did he avoid the throat disease that seemed inevitable, but when he confessed his secret to his family, he freed himself from a burden he had carried for decades. His business thrived even more once he stopped wasting energy on maintaining a lie. Here is the practice. Each evening just before sunset, sit in silence. Close your eyes and imagine your body as if it were transparent, glowing with golden light. Slowly scan each part of yourself, starting from the crown of your head. Ask each area, what hidden pain do you hold? What truth am I refusing to see? What emotion have I buried? Pay close attention to subtle signals, strange tightness, heaviness, sudden chills, or warmth. These are signs of invisible wounds. When you find one, don't fight it. Instead, breathe into it with love. Thank it for warning you and ask what it needs in order to heal. The answer always comes: forgiveness, expression, release, or simply being acknowledged with compassion. By practicing this daily, you become the healer of your own soul. You'll notice imbalances when they're still like faint breezes, before they grow into storms that shake your body. Do this faithfully for a week, and you'll be amazed at how many hidden wounds you discover. Some will be recent, others so old you had forgotten them. But every one of them can be healed by the only true medicine: loving awareness turned inward. The third secret I will soon share will show you how to purify these wounds before they grow deeper roots. Prepare yourself, for the fast of the spirit is stronger than any medicine known to humankind. Chapter 3. The Fast of the Spirit. Just as the body can be cleansed by fasting from food, the soul can be freed by fasting from toxic thoughts and destructive emotions. My dear seeker of truth, it's time to reveal one of the most powerful and most feared secrets of my time. A secret so transformative that the Inquisitors called it heresy, because it gave back to people a power that institutions wanted to keep for themselves. I speak of the fast of the spirit, the deepest purification a person can experience. I discovered this during my exile in the Alps in the winter of 1528. I had been forced to flee Basel after my teachings on real healing were declared dangerous by the university. Alone in a small cabin, living only on roots and water, I stumbled upon a truth that would forever change how I understood health. For days, while my body fasted from food, I noticed that my mind kept feeding on poisonous thoughts. resentments against those who exiled me, fears about my future, doubts about my worth as a healer. Then I realized something chilling. The soul can also be poisoned, and its toxins are far more deadly than anything physical. Through my years of study, I had already learned that true health begins with inner purity. The ancient sages said the body is just the densest reflection of our inner states. If the soul is polluted with resentment, obsession, or repressed emotions, no external medicine can create lasting healing. That snowy night in the mountains, I began my first fast of the spirit. For 7 days, I abstained not only from food but also from everything that kept my soul sick. Thoughts of revenge, feelings of victimhood, and painful memories I kept chewing over like spoiled food. The result was both terrifying and miraculous. By the 3rd day, I wasn't throwing up food but releasing waves of buried emotions. I cried out old grudges, screamed fears from childhood, and sweated out anxieties I didn't even know I carried. It was as if my soul was vomiting decades of toxins. On the 7th day, the purification was complete. I felt a clarity of mind and a vitality of body I had never known. My back pains vanished, my digestion was restored, and to my surprise, I developed an ability to sense illness in others simply by looking at them. That's when I understood the supreme power of medicine, purification of the soul. Now I pass this practice on to you, but treat it with the respect it deserves. The fast of the spirit is not for the faint of heart, because it demands that you face the darkest parts of yourself. Yet those who complete it will emerge free, released from the invisible chains of illness and suffering. Begin gently with a 3-day fast. During this time, avoid not just solid food, but also the poisons of the soul. Constant complaining, criticizing others, dwelling in self-pity, replaying painful memories, or clinging to unresolved emotions. Each morning upon waking, speak these words aloud. My soul fasts from all that poisons it. I welcome only thoughts of love, gratitude, and healing. Throughout the day, when toxic thoughts or emotions appear, don't fight them. Simply watch them pass by, like clouds across the sky, and say, I do not feed you, you may leave. Drink only pure water and light vegetable broth. But even more importantly, feed your soul with beauty, gratitude, and silence. Through prayer, meditation, or simply resting in peace.
The 2nd day will be the hardest. Your soul will begin to push out its stored toxins. You may feel deep sadness, bursts of anger, or intense fear. Do not be alarmed. These are impurities leaving your system. Trust that each tear, each sigh, each emotional release is healing you in ways medicine never could. On the 3rd day, if you remain steady in discipline, you will feel the grace of complete purification. A weight you've carried for years will suddenly lift. Your mind will be clear, your body vibrant, and your soul light as air. This is the true power of the fast of the spirit. It restores the soul to its original purity, and when the soul is clean, the body has no choice but to follow. Many illnesses considered incurable vanish after a deep inner cleansing. But remember, with this knowledge comes responsibility. Once your soul is purified, you must protect it. You cannot feed on gossip, negativity, or toxic emotions without immediately feeling their harmful effect. The next secret, the 4th, will show you how to use your breath as a bridge between your purified soul and your renewed body. Prepare yourself, for the breath of the soul is the wind that carries miraculous healing. Chapter 4. The breath of the soul. Between every inhale and exhale lies a sacred space where the soul touches the body and fills it with divine power. Now that your soul has been cleansed through the fast of the spirit,
It's time to reveal the golden bridge that connects the unseen with the seen, the eternal with the mortal. I speak of the breath of the soul, a secret that wise healers of every age have guarded as their greatest treasure. I first witnessed its mystery in Salzburg during the autumn of 1529. An elderly peasant woman came to my clinic, her breathing weak and shallow. Suffering from a lung disease doctors had already declared fatal. What struck me most wasn't her condition, but the way she breathed. When I asked her to inhale deeply, her breath came in broken and desperate, as if her soul was drowning in fear. Each inhale seemed to steal life instead of giving it. Each exhale carried away not just air, but her hope. In that moment, I knew her true illness wasn't in her lungs. It was in her spirit's relationship with breath itself. From years of studying Hermetic texts and practicing deep meditation, I had learned that breathing is far more than a physical process. It is the sacred channel through which the soul leaves its imprint on every cell. Each inhale brings not just oxygen, but the universal life force the ancients called pneuma. Each exhale releases not just carbon dioxide, but also the energetic toxins that sicken the soul. And here lies the secret that transformed my practice forever. The quality of our breath determines the quality of our healing. A soul at peace breathes in a way that bathes every cell in light and vitality. A troubled soul breathes in a way that feeds illness. So I taught the peasant woman what I now share with you, the contemplative breath of the soul. For 3 weeks she practiced faithfully, and the results defied medical logic. Her lungs cleared, her strength returned, and she lived 15 more years in health, stronger than many women half her age. The practice itself is simple, but its power is beyond measure. Here is the technique. Each morning before the world wakes, sit in silence facing the east. Place one hand on your heart and the other on your belly. Close your eyes and feel your natural breath without forcing it. On the inhale, imagine you are drawing in pure golden light from the heavens. Feel it enter through your nose, settle in your heart, and spread through every organ, every tissue, every cell. Hold the breath gently for 3 seconds and silently say, "This divine light heals whatever needs healing in my body, mind, and soul." On the exhale, imagine you are releasing not just air, but everything that no longer serves you: fear, pain, old memories, foreign energies. See them leave your body a dark smoke that dissolves in the morning light. Repeat this cycle 7 times each morning, and again 7 times at night before sleep. Here is the key. During the day, stay aware of your breath as a golden thread that keeps your soul connected to the infinite source of healing. When you feel physical pain, direct your breath to that place and see the golden light filling it. When you feel emotional turmoil, let each exhale carry away the heavy energy. When your mind is restless, return to your breath as the anchor that holds you steady. I have seen astonishing results with this practice. Tumors that vanish, bones that mend faster than expected, deep sadness that transforms into joy. But the greatest miracle is not the healing of disease. It is the gradual transformation of the one who breathes in this way. Day by day, breath by breath, you become a person whose very presence heals. Your soul's breath creates a vibration so pure that others feel restored simply by being near you. This is what the ancients called the healing presence, a natural gift of those who make each breath a living prayer. Practice with devotion for 1 full moon cycle, and you will awaken a gift most doctors of my time thought impossible: the ability to sense illness through another's breath, and even heal by transmitting the purity of your own. The next secret, the 5th, will reveal how water can become the most powerful vessel for carrying the healing vibrations of the soul. Prepare yourself, for water, when blessed by a pure spirit, can bring forth healings that defy all logic. Chapter 5. Consecrated Water. Water is the liquid memory of the universe. It can receive, store, and transmit the most subtle vibrations of the human soul. My dear seeker of truth, it's time to reveal one of the deepest and most controversial secrets of my medical practice. A secret so powerful that old alchemists swore blood oaths to protect it, and yet so simple that any sincere heart can master it. I speak of the sacred art of consecrating water, the practice of turning the most common element into the most powerful medicine. I discovered this mystery in the summer of 1530, deep in the forests of Carinthia. I had been called to help an 8-year-old boy burning with high fevers that no remedy could break. His parents were desperate. Every attempt at treatment had failed. When I reached his bedside, the boy was slipping between life and death. But what caught my attention was something unusual. Beside his bed sat a bowl of water placed there by his grandmother. To my astonishment, the water seemed to change with the child's condition. When his fever worsened, the water turned dark and cloudy. When he improved slightly, the water became clear again. It was as if the water was mirroring the state of his soul. That night, I realized a truth that forever changed my understanding of healing. Water is not just H2O as philosophers claim. It is alive, capable of receiving, holding, and transmitting information. Every drop of water is like a tiny library, storing the finest vibrations of our thoughts, emotions, and spiritual states. I had studied in ancient texts that, as above, so below, meaning every physical substance has a spiritual counterpart. But seeing that water respond to the boy's illness made me understand. Water is the perfect vessel to carry the healing energy of a purified soul to anyone who drinks it. So I took a bowl of fresh spring water. Using the breathing and meditation practices I had learned, I began the process of consecration. For an hour, I held the vessel in my hands, consciously directing my purest thoughts, my deepest love, and my strongest healing intention into that simple water. With each breath, I visualized golden light filling it. With each heartbeat, I imagined vibrations of perfect health being imprinted into every drop. I whispered prayers of healing, not as magic words, but as declarations of my intent to make the water a channel of divine restoration. When I finished, the water shimmered with a faint glow, visible only to eyes trained to see. The child drank, and within hours, his fever broke. By morning, he was playing in the yard as if he had never been sick. Now I share this sacred technique with you. But first, you must understand. Consecrated water works not through chemistry, but through vibrational information. When a purified soul impresses its healing qualities into water, the water becomes a medicine that restores balance to whoever receives it. The ritual requires absolute purity. Fast for at least 12 hours beforehand. Cleanse your body with water and wear fresh, clean clothes. Use spring water if possible, but any pure water will do if the intention is right. Sit in silence at dawn or dusk, when the forces of nature best support transformation. Place your hands around the vessel without touching it, about an inch away. Close your eyes and enter the contemplative breathing state you already know. For the first 10 minutes, clear your mind of worldly concerns. Fill your heart with unconditional love for the person who will drink the water. Feel that love flowing from your chest, through your hands, into the water. For the next 10 minutes, visualize perfect health in detail. Cells repairing, organs working in harmony, the body functioning with divine precision. Imagine these images engraving themselves into every molecule of water. For the final 10 minutes, lift your awareness toward whatever you hold sacred. Humbly ask that the water become a channel of divine healing. When finished, drink 3 sips yourself while declaring aloud, This water now carries the vibration of perfect health. May every being who drinks it receive exactly the healing their soul needs. Store the rest in a dark glass container away from sunlight. Properly preserved, it retains its power for 7 days. It can be drunk, used to cleanse wounds, or sprinkled to bring healing energy into a space. I have seen consecrated water cure chronic migraines, infected wounds, and even illnesses that resisted all other treatments. But this gift comes with sacred responsibility. Never use it to harm or manipulate. Water amplifies the intention of the one who consecrates it. If the heart is impure, the water becomes poison that will eventually turn back on its maker. The sixth secret I will soon share will show you how to align your personal will with divine purpose, becoming a clear channel for healing grace to flow freely. For in that union, you no longer just practice medicine, you become medicine. Chapter 6. The Covenant with the Light. When a healer lets go of personal will and becomes a clear channel for divine will, miracles stop being rare. They become natural. My dear student of this sacred art, you have now reached the point where skill turns into grace, where human knowledge blends with divine wisdom. What I am about to share is not just another practice. It is the very foundation of all true healing. I speak of the covenant with the light, the sacred commitment that transforms an ordinary physician into a conscious instrument of divine providence. It was in the spring of 1531, in an abandoned monastery near a small village, that this revelation struck me so powerfully I could hardly eat or drink for 3 days. I was in a state of ecstasy, overwhelmed by an understanding that forever changed my destiny as a healer. I had arrived there once again as an exile, fleeing persecution from scholars, burdened by the weight of rejection and the bitterness of holding knowledge the world refused to accept. In those days of complete solitude, I faced the question that torments every true healer. Why do some patients recover while others do not, even when the same treatment is given with equal care? Why do miraculous healings occur for some, while others, perhaps even more deserving, still perish despite our efforts? The answer came like lightning, illuminating the darkest corners of my soul. I realized that my greatest healings had not come from brilliant technique or medical skill. They happened in moments of complete humility, when my own self faded and something infinitely greater worked through me. It was as if there were two kinds of medicine, one born of human ego, bound by our limits, and another that flows when we open ourselves completely as channels for higher intelligence. That night, kneeling in the ruined chapel, I made the most important vow of my life. I gave up my ambition to be recognized as a great physician. I let go of my pride, my need to control outcomes. In its place, I offered myself fully as an instrument of healing in service of the divine plan, without conditions. The ritual was simple but life-changing. I lit a candle and placed it before me as a symbol of the divine light that fills all things. With my heart open, I spoke these words aloud. I renounce my personal will so that your will may act through me. I renounce my pride so that your wisdom may flow freely. I renounce my need for recognition so that your love may heal without limits. Let my life be a clear channel for your healing grace. As I spoke, something extraordinary happened. The air itself seemed to glow. I felt a current of golden light pour into me, cleansing every fiber of my being. It wasn't imagination. It was a real, lasting transformation that changed the very quality of my presence. From that night on, my practice of medicine was transformed. I was no longer the one making the diagnosis. Truth revealed itself. I was no longer the one choosing the treatment. The perfect technique came naturally in every case. Patients others had abandoned as hopeless began to heal with a frequency that defied all known medical logic. But the greatest change was not in the results. It was in my understanding. I realized that illness is not an enemy to be defeated, but an imbalance to be restored. The true healer does not force his will on nature. He aligns so completely with the greater order of life that his very presence restores harmony. Now I will show you how to make your own covenant with the light. This is not something to be taken lightly. It is a vow that can completely transform the way you see healing, and even life itself. Choose a night of the new moon, a time when the universe favors new beginnings. Fast for the whole day. Cleanse your body with pure water, ideally water you have consecrated yourself. Wear clean clothing, preferably white, to symbolize purity of intention. Find a place where you can be completely alone and free from interruption. It could be a chapel, a temple, or simply a quiet corner in your home that you dedicate to this purpose. Light a white candle and place it in front of you at the level of your heart. Sit in silence for at least 30 minutes. Let your mind empty and allow your heart to open to whatever you hold most sacred. It does not matter whether you understand the divine in Christian, Islamic, Buddhist, or purely philosophical terms. What matters is the honesty and sincerity of your surrender. When you feel your whole being aligned with humility and service, speak your vow out loud. You may use my words or create your own, but they must include 3 essential renunciations: the renunciation of ego, the renunciation of the need to control, and the renunciation of the desire for recognition. In place of these, you dedicate your entire life as an instrument of healing, in service to the greater good. After speaking your vow, remain in silence for at least an hour, letting the transformation settle deep within you. You may feel unusual sensations, currents of energy, visions of light, or a peace deeper than anything you've known before. Do not fear it or overthink it. Simply receive it with gratitude. Understand this: the covenant with the light is not a single event. It marks the beginning of a new way of living. From that moment on, before every act of healing, say a brief inner prayer. It is not I who heals, but the light working through me. May it be according to your will, and for the highest good of this being. In time, you will find your ability to heal has grown beyond measure. Patients will recover, miracles will unfold, and you will feel no need to claim credit. You will remain humble, knowing you are only the channel through which divine grace flows. This is the supreme secret that separates a true healer from a mere technician. The understanding that all genuine healing comes from the same divine source, and that our only role is to remain pure and humble so that grace can move without obstruction. The 7th secret will reveal how music and sound can act as direct medicine for the soul. Prepare yourself, for the power of sacred music reaches far beyond what the rational mind can grasp. Chapter 7. The Music of the Soul. Every organ in the body vibrates at its own frequency. When those frequencies fall out of tune, illness appears. When harmony is restored, healing becomes inevitable. My dear student of the healing path, now that you have made your covenant with the light, your soul is ready to receive one of the most extraordinary secrets ever shared with humankind. This secret was guarded by the ancient priests of Asclepius as their most sacred knowledge, and I rediscovered it in the most surprising way during the winter of 1532 in the mountains of Tyrol. That was the moment when I finally understood why Pythagoras once said, "The medicine of the future will be music." I had been called to treat a young peasant girl who had lost her ability to speak after witnessing her father's violent death. No treatment had helped her, and her family feared she would remain mute forever. But something remarkable happened that snowy night. As I sat at her bedside, listening to the wind rushing through the pines, I noticed her breathing matched the rhythm of the storm outside. When the wind calmed, her breath softened. When it roared, her chest heaved. It was as if her soul was dancing to the music of the cosmos. In that instant, a divine insight filled me. If external sound could shape her inner state so deeply, then perhaps specific sounds could restore the natural harmony of her body. From my studies of Hermetic texts, I already knew that everything in the universe vibrates, from the planets in their orbits to the tiniest particles of matter. That night, I understood clearly. The human body is not just flesh and bone, but a living symphony. Each organ has its own natural frequency. The heart beats in rhythm, the lungs breathe in cadence, the brain hums in its unique wave patterns. Perfect health is nothing more than the orchestra of the body playing in tune. Illness is what happens when one instrument falls out of harmony. The young girl had lost her voice because trauma had thrown her throat completely out of tune. Her soul was trapped in the frequency of terror, and her vocal cords could no longer vibrate with their natural tone. She needed a medicine not to be swallowed or applied to the skin, but one to be heard. The medicine of sound. That night I began an experiment that forever changed my approach to healing. Drawing on my knowledge of the connections between planets, organs, and musical tones, I began chanting specific sounds near her throat. These were not random chants, but carefully chosen frequencies designed to resonate with the body's natural vibrations. I began with the tone that resonates with the heart, to calm her nervous system. Then I moved to the frequency of the throat, to unlock expression. Finally, I used the sound O, the vibration that awakens creativity and voice. Each sound I held for 7 breaths, focusing my healing intention into the girl's throat. On the 7th day, something unforgettable happened. While I was chanting, the girl suddenly opened her eyes and whispered a single word, "Father." It was as if the vibrations had broken the knot of terror that bound her voice, allowing her soul to speak again. Over the next weeks, she not only regained her speech, but developed a voice of stunning beauty, stronger and clearer than before. That was when I realized music could do more than restore health. It could lift a person to higher levels of vitality and being. From then on, sound therapy became one of my most powerful methods of healing. I created a complete system of correspondences between sounds and specific organs, a system I now share with you with the reverence it deserves. For the heart and circulatory system, the sound Ah, held for 7 breaths each morning, dissolves emotional blockages and restores the natural rhythm of the heart. Place your hand on your chest as you chant, and feel the vibration reaching directly into your heart muscle, clearing pain and filling it with unconditional love. For the lungs and respiratory system, the sound SEI, exhaled softly while imagining pure air filling your lungs, clears both physical and emotional toxins. It is especially powerful for those who carry sadness or struggle to let go of the past. For the stomach and digestive system, the sound W, whispered like a gentle breeze, calms anxiety, reduces acidity, and restores the body's natural ability to digest not only food, but also life's experiences. It is the perfect remedy for those who struggle to digest difficult situations. For the kidneys and the elimination system, the sound SHO, flowing like falling water, washes away deep fears. It strengthens willpower and restores the natural movement of vital energy. The kidneys often hold our most primal fears, and this sound dissolves them as easily as salt disappears in water. For the liver and detox system, the sound SHOO, released like escaping steam, clears away built-up anger, toxic resentments, and long-held frustrations. It is the most powerful sound medicine for anyone who has carried rage for years. But here's the real secret of vibrational medicine. These sounds must not be repeated mechanically. They must come from a place of deep connection with the organ you are healing. Before you begin, place your hands over the area. Breathe deeply and lovingly, connect with that part of your body. Ask, what do you need to heal? What sound will bring you back into harmony? Then chant the sound, letting your intuition guide the tone, the volume, and the length, adjusting to what your body truly needs in that moment. This full practice is best done at dawn, when cosmic energies favor renewal. Spend at least 5 minutes on each organ, creating your own personal symphony of healing. Over time, you will develop the ability to sense disharmony in your body before it turns into symptoms, and you'll learn to correct it immediately with the right sound. I have witnessed extraordinary results. Tumors shrinking after months of sound therapy, broken bones healing faster than expected, deep depressions transforming into radiant joy. But the greatest miracle is not just the healing of disease, it is the transformation of the one practicing. Day by day, you become a being whose very presence radiates such harmonious vibrations that others begin to heal simply by being near you. The 8th secret will reveal the supreme power of silence, the sacred space where all healing is born before it appears in the physical world. Prepare yourself, because healing silence goes beyond sound and connects you directly to the original source of all harmony. Chapter 8. The Healing Silence. In the complete silence of the soul, when thoughts stop and emotions settle, there lives the supreme power that can regenerate tissue, heal any wound, and restore what was lost. My dear brother, on this path of deep healing, you have now reached the doorway of the most profound and paradoxical mystery in all of medicine. A secret so subtle the rational mind can never fully grasp it, so powerful that a single true experience of it can erase years of illness in minutes, and so simple that it is available to every human being at every moment of life. I speak of the healing silence, the sacred space where all miracles are born. It was in the autumn of 1533, during my forced retreat in the caves of the Carpathian Mountains, that this mystery revealed itself to me in such a powerful way that I remained speechless for days, immersed in an understanding that forever changed my view of healing, of illness, and of life itself. I had gone there fleeing once again from the Inquisition, who branded my teachings as dangerous heresies. I carried only bread, water, and the heavy burden of total solitude. No books, no instruments, no disciples, no patience. Nothing but myself and the overwhelming silence. The first days were pure torment. My mind, so used to constant activity, fought against the silence like a wild animal in a cage. Obsessive thoughts about my failures, my enemies, my theories circled endlessly, torturing me. Every minute felt like an eternity, but around the 7th day, something extraordinary began to happen. Slowly, as if a storm was calming, my thoughts started to fade. Between one thought and the next, I felt moments of absolute stillness, spaces of peace so deep that my whole body seemed to exhale in relief. In those brief instants, I felt a clarity and vitality I had never known. That was when I understood a truth that would transform my medical practice. The constant noise of our thoughts and emotions not only drains us mentally, it directly blocks the body's natural ability to repair itself. Like a radio jammed with static, our nervous system is thrown into chaos, preventing the body's innate intelligence from working as it should. I had read in ancient texts about the power of inner silence, but I had always thought of it as a spiritual exercise, separate from medicine. Yet there, in those mountain caves, I discovered that silence is not just the absence of noise. It is the living presence of a higher intelligence that knows exactly how to heal every imbalance. On the 10th day of my retreat, something happened that changed my understanding of healing forever. During one of these deep experiences of silence, I felt a chronic pain in my left shoulder. An ache I had carried for years suddenly pulsed with unusual intensity. Instead of resisting, I focused my silent awareness on it. I didn't try to change it or push it away. I simply observed it with complete stillness. What happened cannot be explained by reason alone. In that silence, I felt an infinitely wise intelligence begin to work inside the painful area. It was as if thousands of invisible surgeons were operating on me at the cellular level, reorganizing tissue, restoring circulation, regenerating damaged fibers. I was not directing anything. I was simply providing the silence for this higher intelligence to work freely. In less than an hour, the pain was gone. Even more astonishing, my shoulder had greater strength and mobility than before the injury. It was as though the healing silence not only repaired the damage, but improved the original design of the tissue itself. That was when I realized how deeply we have underestimated the body's natural power to heal itself, if only we give it the perfect environment of absolute silence. In the weeks that followed, I applied this discovery to every part of my physical and emotional health. Chronic digestive issues, muscle tension, even emotional scars I had carried for decades. Everything began to heal once I gave it the supreme gift of healing silence. I didn't need to do anything. All I had to do was create the right space where healing could unfold naturally. When I finally returned to the world, my medical practice was completely transformed. I was no longer just a doctor applying techniques. I became a guide, helping my patients enter states of silence so they could tap into their own power of self-repair. The results were so remarkable that many people began calling what happened in my clinic miracles. Now I teach you the supreme art of healing silence. But understand this, it is not simply another method. It is the foundation on which all other practices gain their true power. Without inner silence, every healing practice stays on the surface. With genuine silence, even the lightest touch can trigger miraculous transformation. Begin with what I call the fast from mental noise. For at least 1 hour a day, preferably at dawn when the world is still quiet, sit in complete silence. No books, no music, no distractions. Just you, alone with yourself, in the raw simplicity of pure awareness. At first, your mind will rebel. Thoughts about unfinished tasks, worries about the future, memories of the past, they will all rush in with overwhelming force. This is the most important moment. Don't fight them, but don't feed them either. Watch them like clouds drifting across the sky. Interesting, but temporary, with no real power over your peace. Gradually, you will notice the spaces between thoughts. Brief, still moments where the mind is completely quiet. At first, they last only a few seconds, but with practice, these spaces will grow into vast oceans of silence, where your soul can finally breathe. Once you can sustain mental silence for at least 10 minutes straight, you'll be ready to apply it directly to healing. The process is simple, but its effect is profound. Choose any symptom, pain, or imbalance you want to heal. Instead of trying to fix or eliminate it, give it your full silent attention. Focus on that area from the stillness you've cultivated. Don't analyze the problem. Don't imagine solutions. Just bathe it in silence. Stay there for at least 20 minutes, allowing the higher intelligence that works through silence to do the healing. You may feel heat, cold, pulsing, or unusual movements inside the body. These are signs that natural self-repair has been activated. Don't interfere. Simply remain present in silence. With practice, you'll be able to enter healing silence instantly, anywhere. Headaches can fade within minutes. Emotional tension dissolves when held in stillness. Even physical wounds heal faster when surrounded by this field of silence. The deepest truth I discovered is this: silence is not emptiness, it is fullness. In those moments of true stillness, you connect directly with the cosmic intelligence that designed your body and keeps it alive with miraculous precision. When you stop interfering with constant mental noise, this intelligence can do repairs that conventional medicine considers impossible. I have witnessed astonishing healings through silence. Tumors disappearing after months of practice, broken bones knitting in record time, deep depressions lifting into radiant joy. But the greatest miracle of all is not the healing of symptoms. It is the transformation of the person practicing. Little by little, day after day, you become someone whose very presence is medicine. Your energy becomes so calm and harmonious that others begin to heal simply by being near you. The ninth secret you will soon learn will show you how to use the power of creative visualization to direct the healing forces you have awakened through silence. Prepare yourself, for this inner journey is the most extraordinary adventure a human being can ever take. Chapter 9. The Inner Journey. Active imagination is the golden bridge between the soul and the body. What the mind can picture with perfect clarity, the body can bring into reality with remarkable accuracy. My dear companion on this path of deep healing, now that your soul has learned to rest in the silence of healing, you are ready to receive one of the most powerful and also most delicate secrets ever revealed. This knowledge is so transformative it can restore lost functions, regenerate damaged tissue, and awaken forces within you. But it is so powerful that it must only be used with the purest sincerity of heart. I first discovered this truth in the summer of 1534 in my hidden laboratory in Prague. A Bohemian nobleman had come to me with complete paralysis in his right arm, caused by a sword wound that severed nerves which doctors believed could never heal. For weeks I applied every method I knew, but nothing worked. Then I recalled the writings of the ancient Egyptian masters about the power of active imagination, the mysterious ability of the soul to create images so vivid that the body experiences them as reality. With this nobleman, I decided to attempt the boldest experiment of my career. Through my studies, I had come to understand that the physical body is only the densest layer of a more subtle body of light, which holds the perfect design of our form. When the physical body is injured, this inner blueprint remains intact, preserving the memory of original perfection. Healing visualization does not create something new. It reactivates that perfect design until the body reorganizes itself to match. I taught the nobleman what I called the inner journey toward healing. Each morning and evening, for a full hour, he was to enter into silence and then begin a journey inside his body, using only his imagination. I showed him how to see his arm not as it was, paralyzed and lifeless, but as it should be, healthy, strong, moving freely. He was to imagine every muscle responding smoothly, every nerve firing perfectly, every movement filled with grace. This was not escapist fantasy, but a deeper truth than the broken reality of the moment. The key to success lay in emotion. He was not to visualize with desperation, as someone longing for what they did not have, but with gratitude, as if the healing was already complete. He needed to feel the joy of moving his arm perfectly, the satisfaction of using his hand with ease, the peace of having his body in harmony. After 3 months of steady practice, signs appeared that defied all medical explanation. First came tingling sensations in fingers that had been numb for months. Then, involuntary movements began during sleep. Slowly, conscious control spread from the wrist to the shoulder. Within 6 months, he had fully regained use of his arm. Even more remarkable, it was stronger and more coordinated than before the injury. His visualization practice had not only repaired damaged nerves, but also improved the entire system of muscle and nerve in that limb. From then on, the inner journey became my most powerful tool for so-called incurable cases. I have used it successfully with blindness, deafness, paralysis, and even congenital deformities. Skeptics call the results miracles, but they are simply the natural outcome of applying higher laws correctly. Now I share this supreme technique with you. But first, you must understand its foundation. Your imagination is not a fantasy. It is the most precise instrument you have to communicate with the intelligent forces that build and sustain your body. When you visualize with clarity and sincerity, you are giving direct instructions to your own self-healing system. The inner journey must always begin in the state of mental silence you have already learned to cultivate. Once your mind is completely still, imagine yourself entering your body as if you were an explorer stepping into a sacred land. See your skeleton glowing with golden light, your organs pulsing with vitality, your blood flowing like bright rivers of liquid light. Then move toward the area that needs healing. If it is an illness, don't see it as an enemy, but as a part of you that has simply forgotten its original perfection. Bring to that place the clearest possible image of how it should work in full health. Picture cells regenerating, tissues repairing, and functions restoring with remarkable precision. The key to success is not force, but emotion. Hold the visualization from a place of gratitude and peace, as though the healing were already complete. The universe doesn't answer desperate wishes. It responds to calm conviction. When you can imagine your health as surely as you know your own name, physical change becomes inevitable. Commit at least 30 minutes a day to this practice, half in the morning and half at night. During the day, whenever you feel pain or discomfort, take short mini journeys of 3 minutes, sending light and images of perfection directly to the troubled area. With practice, you'll develop the ability to spark healing instantly, simply by directing your trained imagination where it is needed. I have witnessed extraordinary results. Ulcers closing in just days, tumors shrinking in months, depression lifting into joy when someone consistently visualized their mind functioning with clarity and balance. But remember, this power comes with responsibility. Never use visualization to harm others or manipulate situations for selfish gain. The 10th secret will show you how to create an invisible protective shield, keeping your renewed energy safe from outside negativity. Prepare yourself, for this protective mantle is the true armor of a purified soul. Chapter 10. The Protective Mantle. A purified soul must guard itself like a sacred flame in the middle of a storm, because the darker forces of this world are always trying to put out any light that threatens their rule of ignorance. My dear keeper of sacred truths, now that you've awakened the healing power within you, it's time to face a reality. The naive often ignore, but the wise never forget. Not everyone will welcome your healing. Not every energy around you supports your growth. Not every influence wishes you well. I learned this lesson in the winter of 1535 on the desolate plains of Bohemia. I had been called to treat an entire village stricken by a strange illness no physician could identify or cure. The moment I arrived, something disturbed me. The very air felt heavy, thick with a presence that made deep breathing difficult. The villagers were not only physically sick, their souls seemed shrouded in a shadow that drained them faster than any medicine could restore. For days I applied every healing method I knew, yet the results were strangely limited. Patients improved during my sessions but declined again as soon as I left. It was as if something unseen was working against me, undoing all I had done. One night, while meditating in my room, I experienced something I will never forget. A malignant presence, real as any physical being, but infinitely darker, attempted to pierce my energy field. I felt invisible tentacles of corrupt energy trying to wrap around my soul, draining my strength and filling my mind with despair and doubt. Only my training in mental silence allowed me to stay calm and resist the attack. That was the night I learned a chilling truth that forever changed my practice. When a soul purifies itself and awakens real healing power, it becomes a target for forces that thrive on human suffering and prefer to keep humanity sick and ignorant. These parasitic energies feed on pain, and true healers threaten their survival. In my earlier studies of Hermetic texts, I had read about such entities, but I dismissed them as superstition or metaphor. That night, I learned they are as real as the microbes I treat, except they operate in subtler dimensions beyond ordinary perception. But I also discovered something far greater. A soul that is truly purified has the natural ability to create around itself an impenetrable shield against any negative force. This invisible protection does not come from complex rituals or external charms. It comes from the very vibration of an elevated consciousness. That same night, through deep meditation, I formed around me what I called the protective mantle. It was like wrapping my soul in armor made of golden light, an armor that allowed only energies of love, healing, and truth to enter. The effect was immediate and powerful. The attack stopped instantly, and even more, my healing ability multiplied. Patients began recovering with a speed that defied reason, because now my energy flowed freely, without being drained by outside interference. In the days that followed, I taught this practice to the most open-hearted villagers, and together we watched the whole community gradually free itself from the malignant influence that had been keeping them ill. I came to understand that many illnesses that appear physical are actually the result of energetic vampirism, when unseen forces drain a person's life energy until their immune system collapses. Now I teach you the supreme art of spiritual protection, and you must approach it with the seriousness it deserves. For this knowledge can mean the difference between success and failure in all your healing work. Without proper protection, a healer becomes like a beacon, attracting parasitic energies that feed on their light. That is why the protective mantle must be created every morning, immediately after your practice of mental silence. In that stillness, visualize a waterfall of golden light pouring down from the highest realms of the universe, surrounding your body, your emotions, and your mind in successive layers of radiant protection. This is not a passive image. It is an act of conscious will. Declare your intention clearly, that only energy serving your highest good and the highest good of all may enter your field. As the golden light forms around you, say aloud, "I am a sovereign being of divine light. I welcome only what uplifts, heals, and blesses. Everything else returns to its source with love." Picture this light forming a cocoon around you, about 3 meters in diameter, with a semi-permeable shield that automatically filters incoming energy. Loving thoughts, healing intentions, and uplifting vibrations pass freely. But fear, envy, manipulation, or draining energy are reflected back, gently and without harm, to their origin. Pay close attention to sealing the most vulnerable areas of your energy field. The crown, where you receive divine inspiration. The heart, where you radiate love and healing. The solar plexus, where you process emotions. The base of the spine, where your physical vitality is anchored. Throughout the day, especially when working with the sick or moving through heavy, negative environments, consciously renew your mantle. Breathe deeply. Visualize the golden light strengthening and let it purify your field. If you ever feel your energy draining, immediately reinforce the shield and detach from the situation. Each night before sleep, cleanse your mantle. Visualize any negative residue dissolving in golden light, transformed into pure love. Give thanks for the protection you've received, and ask for special guardianship during sleep, when your soul travels through other realms where not all beings are benevolent. With consistent practice, you will be able to create instant protection in any situation. With a single focused thought, a steady breath, your mantle activates. You will also learn to extend this shield to others, especially to your patients during healing sessions. I have seen strong healers lose their power over time because they ignored the importance of energetic protection. Like candles in a storm, their light eventually burned out, leaving them exhausted and discouraged. But those who master the art of the protective mantle can continue healing for decades without losing strength, for their energy flows only into constructive channels. Always remember, the strongest protection is not fear of dark forces, but unconditional love for all life. A heart filled with true compassion vibrates at such a high frequency that negativity cannot cling to it. The 11th secret you will soon learn reveals the highest form of communion with the divine, the silent prayer that transcends all words, all religions, and all beliefs. Prepare yourself, for this inner communion is the very foundation of all miraculous healing. Chapter 11. The Wordless Prayer. When the soul learns to reach the divine without the noise of words, it discovers that God has always been speaking in the silent language of a pure heart. My dear companion on this sacred path of healing, you have arrived at the second-to-last threshold of these hidden mysteries, the place where technique dissolves into grace, and where the healer unites with the infinite source of all healing. What I'm about to share is not just another practice, it is the very foundation of every true miracle, the soul's direct communion with the divine. It was in the spring of 1536, during my last retreat in the Salzburg Mountains, that this supreme mystery revealed itself to me with such clarity that it changed not only my healing practice, but my entire understanding of what it means to live as a conscious being in this infinite universe. I came there carrying the heavy weight of years of persecution, rejection, and the loneliness of holding knowledge the world was not ready to accept. For weeks, I practiced every healing technique I knew on myself, for my soul was wounded by isolation, and my body weakened by years of hiding. But then something extraordinary happened. When I stopped practicing altogether, I simply sat in silence before the snow-covered mountains. No requests, no formulas, not even clear thoughts. In that stillness, I experienced the deepest prayer I had ever known. It was as if my whole soul had become a silent question offered to the infinite mystery that holds all existence. There were no words, no images, no concepts, only pure awareness directed toward something greater than anything the senses could grasp. It was like my entire being had become a perfect ear, finally able to hear a cosmic music that had always been playing, but which the noise of my own thoughts had hidden from me. I had studied writings from mystics of many traditions, and I had read about direct communion with the divine, but I always believed it was reserved for saints or extraordinary souls. Now I realized this capacity lives within every human being, waiting only for us to create enough silence for it to emerge. In those moments of wordless prayer, healings began to unfold without any effort from me. Chronic pains I had carried for years faded away. Emotional wounds from decades earlier closed gently, as if touched by infinite tenderness. My mind grew clearer than it had ever been. And most astonishing of all, I discovered I could directly know what any person needed to heal. Without diagnosis, without analysis. It was as if the knowledge flowed straight from the source that designed and sustains all life. That was when I finally understood the difference between asking and communing. When we ask for something specific, we assume we know what is best, for ourselves or for our patients. But when we enter true communion, we open ourselves to receive what infinite wisdom already knows we need, something always more perfect than our limited minds could imagine. From that moment on, wordless prayer became the cornerstone of my healing practice. Before every diagnosis, every treatment, every encounter with a patient, I would take a few minutes to sink into this state of silent communion. In those moments, my personal self would dissolve, and I became a clear channel through which supreme intelligence could flow. The results of this practice were so extraordinary that many people began to think I had supernatural powers. But I knew it was never me who healed. I had simply learned to step aside enough for divine grace to flow freely, without the obstacles of my personal ego. The true miracle was not the healing of bodies, but the rediscovery of our natural connection with the source of all life. Now I teach you this sacred art of wordless communication, but you must approach it with complete humility, understanding that you are stepping into the greatest mystery of existence. Wordless prayer is not a technique to be mastered by the mind. It is a gift you receive when your heart becomes pure enough, quiet enough to welcome it. Begin each day with what I call the sacred dissolution. In a state of mental silence, allow your sense of personal identity to gently dissolve. You are not someone with certain problems or desires. You are not a person who lacks something or fears something. In this state, you are simply pure awareness, open to the infinite mystery of being. From this place of transparency, turn your attention not toward specific requests, but toward the silent presence you feel but cannot define. It is like turning toward the sun without staring at it directly, experiencing its warmth and light without needing to analyze it. Let your entire soul become pure receptivity. Don't chase visions, don't expect voices, don't force sensations. Divine communication arrives quietly, so subtle that only a serene heart can recognize it. It may appear as a deep peace that dissolves worry, sudden clarity about confusing matters, or a wave of unconditional love that embraces everything. Stay in this communion of silence for at least 30 minutes every morning. But the real practice is to extend this state throughout the day. While doing ordinary tasks, keep part of your attention directed toward that silent presence. It's like carrying on a constant, wordless conversation with the invisible friend who never leaves your side. When you work with patients, let this silent connection guide your choices. Before diagnosing, ask inwardly, what does this person truly need to heal? Don't expect words. Instead, act from the intuition that rises out of silence. Often you'll find your hands moving on their own to areas of imbalance you hadn't noticed, or the right words will come out effortlessly. The sign that you are entering true communion with the divine is a gradual shift in how you experience life. Problems that once overwhelmed you now appear from a broader, calmer perspective. Difficult decisions become simple when seen from inner stillness. An unshakable peace begins to carry you through life, regardless of circumstances. With practice, you'll be able to enter the state of wordless prayer instantly, at any time, in any place. A single conscious breath will connect you back to the presence that is always waiting. In moments of crisis, this direct connection will give you exactly the strength, clarity, or compassion you need to serve. But the deepest transformation happens when you realize your entire life has become one continuous prayer. Every action performed from that silent connection becomes sacred. Every meeting with another person becomes a chance to channel divine love. Your whole existence becomes conscious service to the healing and upliftment of the world. I have seen how this practice transforms not only those who live it, but everyone they touch. A person who lives in constant communion with the divine carries a presence so pure that others begin to heal simply by being near them. Their very energy becomes living medicine for a wounded world. The 12th and final secret you will soon learn will show you how to weave all these mysteries into a life of continuous service, where every moment becomes an opportunity to channel divine healing grace. Prepare yourself, for the final secret is the conscious return to your original nature, a perfect instrument of providence. Chapter 12, Restitution. At the end of the path, the seeker discovers he was never truly broken. Healing is not about gaining something new. It is about remembering the perfection we have always carried, but for a time forgot. My dear companion on this sacred journey, you have reached the last of these hidden secrets. And yet, in truth, you now stand at the beginning of a new way of living. What you have learned in these chapters are not just healing techniques. They are master keys that open the door back to your original nature, a being of infinite light, temporarily living in human form. Today, as I write these final words in the quiet convent of Salzburg, where I have finally found peace to finish this legacy, I see that my entire life as physician, alchemist, and healer has been a single process of restitution. It is the conscious return to the supreme truth of who we are, beyond wounds, limits, and moments of forgetting. In the autumn of 1537, during what I sensed would be my last winter in this body, this final understanding crystallized in my mind with the clarity of a diamond. For decades, I searched for the philosopher's stone, the secret that could turn base metals into pure gold, not realizing that the true alchemy is when the soul remembers its divine nature. That night, as I watched the stars from my cell, I saw my entire life pass before me like a lucid dream. I saw the young Philippus, beginning in the mysteries of medicine, convinced that healing was about fighting diseases and correcting flaws. I saw him grow into the realization that the body is a mirror of the soul, that illnesses are messages, that silence heals more deeply than medicine ever could. But in that vision, I saw something I had missed until then. There were never really diseases to cure, only memories to restore. Every patient I helped had, in truth, remembered their original wholeness. Every miracle was simply an act of memory, a moment when the soul recognized again its intact, immortal nature. Illness, I finally understood, is nothing more than a temporary forgetting when we believe we are only fragile bodies, cut off from the infinite source that created us. Healing is remembering we are conscious extensions of that source, already whole, already immortal. We do not heal by adding what is missing, but by removing the veils of forgetfulness that hide our natural radiance. In my final months, I applied this truth not only to the few patients still with me, but also to myself, as I prepared for my own transition into other realms of being. My body shows its age, worn from years of persecution and hard work, but my soul rests in peace. Each day is a celebration of gratitude for having served as a channel of healing in this wounded world. Now I give you the final synthesis of all you have learned. Restitution, the supreme art of helping any soul remember its original perfection and bring it back into every level of existence. This is not another method. It is the culmination of all methods, the understanding that rises above them all. At the deepest level, we are already perfectly whole, fully connected to the infinite source. Healing is simply guiding the soul to recognize this eternal truth and clearing away the temporary layers of forgetting that make us believe in limits. When you stand before someone seeking healing, do not see disease to fix. See perfection to uncover. Your task is not to add what is missing, but to serve as a mirror that reflects their divine nature until they can claim it for themselves. Begin each healing session by entering the state of wordless prayer you already know, but with one clear intention: to see through appearances of weakness and limitation to the radiant perfection at the core of that being. like a sculptor who sees the perfect statue hidden inside raw stone. Look beyond symptoms to behold the health that has always been there. As you hold this pure vision, let all the tools you have learned flow naturally. The mirror of the soul, the detection of invisible wounds, the sacred breath, consecrated water, healing music, restorative visualization. But remember, these are not the cause of healing. They are reminders, gentle aids that help the soul wake up from its dream of limitation. The supreme key of restitution. The deepest key to restitution is the quality of your presence. When you truly understand that both you and your patient are perfect reflections of the same infinite consciousness, your very presence becomes a reminder of that truth. Simply being with someone can awaken in them the memory of their own wholeness. Speak to the soul, not just the personality. Address the eternal essence living temporarily in that body, not the fragmented parts that identify with illness. Choose words that honor their divine nature. The perfect being you are is remembering its natural health. Your eternal soul is showing its wholeness through this body. In my final years, I have witnessed healings that defy all explanation. Tumors vanishing in days, paralysis reversing in hours, depression lifting into radiant joy within minutes. These were not caused by something external. They happened because the person remembered who they truly are, beyond all appearances. But the most important restitution is not what you offer others. It is what you continually offer yourself. Every moment is a chance to remember your original perfection, to feel your eternal connection to the source, to live as infinite love, focused for a time in human form. When you feel pain, don't label yourself as a sufferer. Instead, remind yourself, I am a perfect being experiencing a temporary sensation that calls me back to my divine nature. When you feel fear, don't see yourself as a victim. Say instead, I am infinite love learning to recognize itself, even in this challenge. This is the supreme alchemy, the transformation of ordinary human awareness into the awareness of divinity in human form. It does not deny human experiences, but it allows you to live them from a higher place. Pain may still exist, but it no longer defines you. Limitations may appear, but they no longer decide what you are capable of. My dear heir to these sacred secrets, as I close this manuscript, I feel endless gratitude for being able to share with you the essence of a lifetime devoted to healing. Yet my greatest joy is not in what you have learned. It is in who you are, a being of infinite light who chose to live in human form to help awaken humanity. Carry these secrets into the world. But remember, the greatest secret is yourself, in your original perfection. Every healing you give, every miracle you witness, every heart you touch is a reflection of your own process of remembering the magnificence you have always been and will always be. Restitution is complete. The circle has closed. The seeker and the sought are revealed as one. Now go and let your life itself prove that heaven is not far away, but the natural state of the soul that remembers its divine origin. In perfect love and perfect trust, I, Celsus, seal these mysteries with the blessing of one who has found in serving others the way back home.